I want to start with a moment. It was the end of a 70-hour hike. My legs felt like rubber, and my skin had become one with my socks. I haven't seen a single patch of dry trail all day. And my raincoat was just for show at this point. Everything I had was soaked with one of Beijing's most relentless rainstorms in recent history. It was a Duke of Edinburgh's hike. It's one of those things you sign up thinking that it's going to be a fun little hike away from school, from homework. However, I didn't go in there expecting transformation, and I definitely didn't expect it to happen at that moment. We were somewhere near the end. We've been climbing steadily uphill for hours and hours. There was nothing dramatic, no towering peaks, no summits, no landmarks even. We were really in the middle of nowhere. And I was so tired. It's just the kind of hike that slowly chips at you. You start asking yourself, why am I doing this? I could have been lying in bed. Why am I even here in the middle of one of Beijing's random mountains? And then, without even thinking much, I turned back. And then, there it was. The sky had broken open. I don't even remember what exact colors I saw, just that everything was melting and on fire. You can see how beautiful this really is. It wasn't a sunset that called for attention. It wasn't one that demanded you to stare at it. However, it felt like it had been walking silently, patiently behind me for the whole day, waiting for me to stop long enough to notice it. It didn't matter that I wasn't on top of a mountain, or I wasn't in front of some landmark, or I wasn't even at a summit. It also didn't matter that my feet was blistered and my back hurt like crazy. That moment was the summit. There's a strange kind of comfort in chasing what's obvious. Mountains, clear, tall, unmistakable, seems to call us towards clarity. Their scale invites awe. Their presence makes us feel belittled. We long for our lives to always have a goal for something to happen. We crave that. However, I think the most important parts of our lives don't work that way. They don't come with altitude markers or celebratory photos on top. They unfold slowly and steadily in the in-between and in the rhythm. And rhythm is not a race. When you walk along the flooded paths of Beijing's mountains for long enough, you stop asking yourself, why am I doing this? And start observing things. You start noticing how the land slopes, how the tree roots form natural steps, and how the rain doesn't fall at you, pelting down like soldiers shooting arrows, but how it falls with you. You start moving to the rhythm of the world, not against it. And this is when something spiritual happens, something special, but also something subtle. You stop needing everything to be perfect. You stop needing everything to look beautiful and start realizing that everything already is. Not because it's perfect, not because it's organized, but because it exists. And existence, in and of itself, is sacred. We start forgetting about what isn't special. We stop needing every moment to feel extraordinary and start realizing that even the ordinary ones count. Like the half-eaten toast on the counter, the messy notebook pages with half-finished thoughts that you never got to finish. You stop scrolling past the boring videos. And even with the awkward pauses or the bad lighting and the plans that fall through and plan Bs or plan Cs that fall through again and again, you realize that they're not detours from your life. They're not supposed to be distractions from the perfect life that you're supposed to have. They are your life. In life, we often think as pauses, as interruptions, as something we're supposed to cover up or something that we should say sorry or hide from. However, that's not what I'm trying to tell you guys here. Pauses make up what your life is. What if, just like in music, the pauses are part of the melody too? Not because they're silent or the rests are silent, but because they're the ones that shape the melody. In life, we spend so much time trying to capture beauty. We take photos of sunsets just to put filters on them. We take photos of our food before we even get to enjoy them. And we rehearse smiles for supposedly candid photos, as if proof is more important than presence. However, have you ever thought, what if beauty isn't something we extract from the world? What if it's something that we don't need to capture? It's something we witness, something that hums quietly beneath the surface, waiting for us long enough to stop, look back, and realize that it has been here for all this time. Beauty and truth never happens in the dramatic or in the dazzling. It never happens like how people find love in movies, how they go into a cafe and find the love of their life. Beauty, love, truth, all these things we strive for never happen on demand. They unfold in tension and release. They unfold in silence and sound, in pause and progress. That expedition was certainly far, far, far from comfortable. You can see from this photo, I don't know where you're going. We are completely lost in the mountains. And when we lost track of the trail, we had two choices. The first being to go with our instinct and blindly go wherever we thought was the right direction. Or we could pause. I paused, not out of defeat or laziness. Of course, I was tired, but I wasn't defeated by the mountain. I decided to pause. It was out of respect for the unknown, for the terrain, for nature, and for the rhythm I haven't yet learned. And that pause has taught me more than any summit could ever have. And even though we think of pauses as interruptions, they're not something that you need to stop from your life. They're natural, and you should accept the fact that pauses and progress come hand in hand. You will not be able to progress until you've endured the ache and tiresome waitings, the pauses, the things that you thought you did not know how to encounter. And we need to believe that summits aren't the purpose of life. We long for our lives and observe the summits, wishing that one day we'll end up on top of one of these mountains. But for the most of the times, we're ordinary people. We're not going to end up on Mount Everest or on Yellowstone's El Capitan stones. These are for the ordinary people, and we need to stop making summits our main purpose. We need to realize that path and our destiny isn't made up by higher powers, but because we are certain, and by walking faithfully through the fog, through those problems for long enough, and realizing your path in your life isn't made by certainty, but by footsteps and navigating along the way. So if you're in a season of your life where the rain just doesn't stop, and you feel like the path disappears just as you're about to find it, maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're just in the process and tempo of discovering something better. And maybe, just maybe, the point from the start was to never conquer the summit. It was to never get to the highest point of the world, but to recognize the sacred in every step. Thank you.